Hello and welcome. I know it's been a while since you've last seen my face, but I'm excited to be here making a new video for you. I got to visit the Colorado History Museum this morning and handle some of their antique corset collection, and I was even allowed to take some patterns as well as some video and some photos, so I'm going to share those with you now, and I hope you enjoy.
Later.
Yeah.
Cool. And this one has all the Bowmans.
So this is
The one that's on display is
interior.
cool though because she wrote her name on it.
Oh my gosh.
It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, this one does have all the bone eyelets.
What's
Wow.
unique about these to me is there's very little alteration done to them.
Okay, for anyone else who's curious about this era of corset and you've never seen the insides, this is the exterior back.
Did I say you're gonna use both these shirts?
We've got some just like decorative stitching, but some that does still have the cording in. And then here's what the interior looks like. It's the same, like kind of plain weave. It feels to me like a cotton. It's like a cotton sateen on the outside, but a plain weave on the inside. It was like English stitched up the side, and then just hand back stitched for all of the cording channels. The bust scores are like eased into the binding. Interestingly, I don't see a pocket for a busk to go in this one. It's just corded and then it stops. It's totally, there's nothing in here. More cording at the bottom. Straps are sewn onto the back, but do have eyelets. The back is seamed, it's not a fold. Feels like a cotton twill tape that was used for the edges. We saw two ribbon corsets today. This one is giving kind of straight front, early 20th century as far as the shape. And then there's also this really cute little cincher, which I'll show you in more detail in a minute. But first, this one. It's so beautiful. It's a double-faced silk satin ribbon for the whole entire thing. I love the silk velvet or silk plush or whatever it was for the busk interior lining. It's such a luxe detail. All of the bones are also steel in these. The string that's tying it up in the back is like this flat woven braid that's so beautiful. I wish I could find anything even sort of like it now. We've got these nice covered garters. Yeah, here it is. This little cincher thing is so cute. It's very, very short. I'm about to put, yeah, the measuring tape and show you just how short it is. It's a wee baby, like almost a belt. It's obviously very well loved and worn though. Yeah, but this one also just double-faced silk satin ribbon. This one had the flossing though, which was cool to see. And this is the inside of it. You can see that there's no like lining layer behind the horizontal ribbons. It's just that same ribbon used for the inside and outside of the like vertical panels, and then they aren't connected at all. I should show you guys how I made my ribbon corsets because it was nice to see. It was very like affirming that the construction was kind of how I was able to guess from museum corsets and things. This is one of my favorites. This corset they had dated to 1875, and it's not seamed at all. It was woven all in one piece on this amazing machine. And you can see it's like entirely filled with these toothpick width, like really maybe 2 millimeters at most, baleen pieces with a couple of wide ones at the side, at the center back. You can see one poking out there. There's another wider one at the back that I'm going to show you in a little bit as well. And then they used some wider baleen at the center back. Oh, these are so gorgeous though. And they have the flossing like on every single channel on both the top and the bottom to hold the bones. And then it's not applied trim on the top edge. It's just like the finished woven edge that they like cut and then hand buttonhole stitched or blanket stitched over the edge in that scalloped pattern to finish, which is just incredible. It does have a metal bust at center front, which I think I'm going to show you here in a moment. And then there's also a bone in an applied channel on the inside of each bust, kind of like horizontally across the cup at the top edge. Oh, and there's this cute hand embroidery along the bust on the outside, which I just love. So elegant. So cute. Just lovely though. I love these. I never thought I'd get to see one in person. So this is amazing. Okay, so yeah, here is the little bit of baleen that was already poking out of the channel, so I was allowed to show you. Yeah, it's such interesting stuff. Like it's really cool to see it because now I know that the synthetic whalebone is really a good equivalent. Like it performs exactly the same way. So next up is this very cute, like turn of the century corset. It's quite short. But I wanted to show you it. The lace is all stitched on by hand, just with like a long running stitch. There's this little like taffeta ribbon curtain. I'm not really sure. The bows were tied and then hand sewn on after. I'm going to show you the interior here. So this is a single layer of like a thin cotton plain weave, so maybe a batiste or something. And we think that the whole thing was like dip, starched, and then steam pressed after it was constructed to hold the shape. But this is a factory made corset. All the seams are felled, and then the bone channels are applied tapes on the interior. This feels more like the corset lacing that I'm used to, just like a very tad bit wider, but it's the more like tubular weave instead of the flat weave that you saw in the older corset. And this is for some friends of mine. I've been looking for those teeny tiny little metal ends because I could only find them in like much bigger versions. And I know they exist in these tiny versions. So if you have a source, please let me know. And this, I just wanted to show you the stitching on the outside of this. This was felled all by machine rather than my other antique is all by hand. Okay, so moving on, this corset was, I believe, 1880s. I love the satin exterior channels against like kind of the matte sateen mane. It's so elegant, so lovely, such like a touch. And then they had these, I wish I could find a source for this ruffled elastic because it's so nice. But they just like safety pinned it on. It's the same on the other side as well. Oh, and I wanted to show you this detail on like the top back because I've only ever seen it on older corsets where they stopped the bones a little bit short and then did a couple of teeny tiny ones at the top edge, presumably to kind of help it curve around the upper back. And I had always wondered if it was cording or just like short bones, but it definitely feels like bones, at least in this corset. This corset was actually altered after it left the factory at some point. You can see these little darts sewn by a different machine, which is fascinating. But the construction's really lovely for these. I love these wide waist tapes. You can see how strongly the busk had been bent for the belly curve here. So this one I'm actually going back on Friday to take a pattern from, but it's like a plus size 1905-ish corset and it has steel bones which were covered in paper, like a kind of brown recycled paper and then waxed. And then you can see they have like metal tips on the narrower ones, like the tips that you would use for spiral steel. The wider bones in this corset are the same, like steel covered in paper, but instead of having the metal tips added, they have like, I don't know if it's like resin or enamel or something like that for the very tips, but it's something similar. Oh yeah, here you go. So you can see it. A little bit of the paper coating had worn away. You could see the steel on the inside. But before this, we were like, is it wood? I didn't know. Okay, here's the most cutest little Swiss waist that is completely hand sewn. So I thought you might like to see it. It has the most babyest eyelets. They're so, so little. But this was really lovely. Just like a black silk with a plain cotton lining. I wonder if she like made it and then it was a little small, so she added in these little cores after, or if it was like a later addition. There's a bone at the center front here, and then one on like just to each side, but the two more outer darts do not have a bone on them at all. There's a bone there on the side and side back. Side back one goes about to bust level, as you can see. The top edge, she had kind of stitched through it to make it like a piped effect. There's a piping in the very edge, and then like hand felled down the rest of that edge. Like turned it under and just felled it to the lining. Obviously didn't care about the side seams here, so it's so lovely though. And then here it's the outside. There is a seam in the strap too, kind of right at the height of the shoulder point. It's been a little crunched in storage, so it is. But yeah, so cute. Love a little Swiss waist. This was such a fun day. I would absolutely love to come back for more. Big thanks to the Colorado History Museum for having us. Yes, that's the one I'm coming back for. Thank you to Angela of Cinch and Charm for setting this appointment up.